Hey guys, Rick here from Stoney Acres Gardening. Welcome to my channel. It is hot this summer. Just to give you an idea, here in Utah, we normally have 8 or 9 days that are over 100 degrees. Today is July 26th when I'm filming this video. We've already had 14 with the potential of 2 or 3 weeks more before things start to cool off. And so it has been a hot summer, and I've had a lot of people asking me, how are we dealing with this heat and what are some things that we're doing to help our garden? So I thought today that I would go through and give you the 5 things that I do in my garden every year to help deal with the heat. Some strategies that are going to help keep your garden healthy when it is scorching hot outside. So let's get started. So number 1 on the list is shade cloth. So shade cloth can be your best friend when it is really hot like it is right now. It does a really good job with some plants to help reduce the stress on those plants. I like to use it particularly on peppers because it helps to prevent sun scald. It can do the same for your raspberries and your blackberries. The key is to position it so that it is keeping that late afternoon sunshine off of your plants. Shade cloth can also be helpful with tomatoes. A lot of times tomatoes don't like to set fruit when the temperature is this high. Again, putting up a little shade cloth, especially in the late afternoon when it's really, really hot, is going to help keep those temperatures down and allow those flowers to pollinate correctly. And so shade cloth can be really beneficial. I like to use something between 30 to 40% for these types of applications, but it can really be helpful when the heat is on. Now, you do not need to use it on your entire garden. I would kind of keep it to specific plants that are having some stress at that time. I love to put it on my peppers. In fact, this one stays on my peppers almost all summer long. Good to use on tomatoes as well. The next thing I like to do to make sure my garden stays in good shape when it is hot is to use a lot of mulch. Mulch is going to be important when the heat is high. The reason why mulch is so helpful is because it does 2 things. Number 1, it keeps the soil temperature down, keeps the sun off of the soil, helps to keep that temperature down, and then it keeps the moisture in the soil. So your soil is going to stay more evenly moist, and it is going to retain that moisture for a longer time. There will be less evaporation. We like to use grass clippings or compost as our mulch, but you can also use hay and straw. Those are good options as well, but mulching is very important to help the healthier garden while it is hot. Number 3 on the list is water. So you need to be making sure that you are just perfect with your watering when the temperatures are super high like this. We want to make sure that our containers are checked and probably watered every day. Depends on the size of the container, but usually containers are going to dry out faster, and so you need to be checking those containers and watering them every day, maybe even twice a day when it's really hot if those containers are not full of lush plants yet. So water them very, very carefully. With your raised beds, they are also going to dry out faster than an in-ground garden would. And so raised beds, my raised beds, I like to try and get those watered about every other day when it's hot like this. And then my in-ground garden, like you see behind me, retains water a little bit better. Our soil tends to retain water well. We have some clay in it, and so we end up watering that garden about every 4 days when it's really hot like this. But you need to be out and checking the health of your plants and checking the moisture in your soil every day. So how do you do that? You use the finger test. So you're going to just go ahead and stick your finger in the soil up to about your first knuckle. If the soil is still moist at the tip of your finger, then you're okay. If it's not, if it's dry at the tip of your finger, it is time to water again. So do that often. I come in with a dirty finger every day because we are checking to make sure that our soil moisture is good. So watering is very important when it is hot like this. These last 2 ideas are a little bit less important but can be helpful when your plants are under the stress of the heat. The first one is to harvest often. So if we leave fruit on our plants for too long, say for example cucumbers, if we let those cucumbers get too big, then the plant starts to focus on the seed development instead of the fruit development. That can put a lot of stress on the plant. They start to panic, thinking that they need to hurry and get that production done. And so harvesting just a little bit early, maybe when your cucumbers or your zucchini are a little bit smaller, possibly before your tomatoes are completely ripe, pull them off and let them ripen on the counter. Doing those kind of things is going to help bring the stress level on those plants down just a little bit, which can be helpful when it is hot. And then the last thing that you can do is plant your garden pretty intensely. Now, that's not going to help you right now, but next year as you're planning for your garden and you're planning for the heat, think about planting things a little bit closer than maybe what the seed packages recommend. Having those plants close together, the leaves touching, is going to create more shade. That is going to keep the soil temperature down, take the stress away from those plants. Imagine, one plant sitting in the middle of a raised bed, how much stress from the sun it's going to be getting versus a dozen plants that are all kind of interconnected and causing that shade and a good healthy environment. And so getting everything a little bit closer together is also going to be beneficial. So those are your ideas for how to keep the heat down in your garden and hopefully to make your garden do a little bit better this year while we are struggling with this super hot weather. Before we go, I did want to remind you about the Gardening Academy. The Gardening Academy is our monthly membership service where we grow great gardeners. We're going to be growing you and your skills as a gardener. With a library of over 40 different gardening courses, there is something there for everyone, and gives you an opportunity to learn more and to grow more. It's a great digital platform that is going to help you become a better gardener. We have monthly planting guides that go out every month. We do live Q&As. We have expert interviews and recipe videos, all kinds of fun stuff that are going to help you become a better gardener. And we would love to have you come and join us. We have a great and growing community over there, and we would love to have you become a part of the Gardening Academy. So there's a link in the description of this video that you can click on to go get signed up. We would love to have you join us. All right, that, my friends, is all I have for you for this week. Everybody have a fantastic week. Happy gardening.